Hello everyone, welcome back to the Iron Conflict and Frontline channel. Please subscribe and like my videos. Picture this, a cold winter night in eastern Ukraine. Homes once humming with warmth and light go dark. Alarms blare, emergency lights flicker, families huddle by candles as power lines go silent. The air smells of burnt transformer oil and fear. That's the story behind the latest claim from Ukrainian officials. Nearly 60,000 people deprived of power following a wave of strikes by Russian forces. It's not just infrastructure damage, it's an attack on everyday life, on the civilian grid, on hope. We're going deep into this attack, what happened, why it matters, and what it signals for the broader war. Let's dive in. Exterior: the battlescape. The skies above the frontline region of Zaporizhzhia in southeastern Ukraine were rent by rumbling air raids. Overnight bombers and drones surged, striking Outage electricity substations and grid hubs. In the aftermath, some 59,000 residents in that area alone found their power cut. The external landscape framed by blackened pylons, shattered insulation, collapsed stations, and emergency crews scrambling in the freezing dark. A battlefield where the weapon is darkness itself. But this isn't merely an exterior story of warfare. There's an interior dimension to one of homes gone cold, hospitals operating on backup, children unable to study, heat systems shutting down. Inside the houses, it's a silent war of comfort lost. Imagine entering a living room where the TV is off, the radiator cold, the silence deep. Across kitchens, gas stoves may still light, but lack of electricity halts water pumps, lighting, heating controls. In apartment blocks, elevators stop. Corridors fill with people trying to navigate pitch darkness. Hospitals in affected zones shift to generators, life support machines, ventilators, incubators, all now at risk when fuel runs low or backups fail. Families huddle in one room, doors closed to preserve warmth, while outside, emergency lights trace the outlines of damage. Teachers cancel evening classes, offices postpone meetings, workers trapped at home, connectivity shaky. The psychological blow, the feeling of vulnerability rising more sharply with the temperature drop. With the war dragging into winter months, these outages become more than inconvenience. They become survival issues. The damage to power infrastructure cannot be quickly patched. Transformers take time, replacement parts are in short supply, and vulnerability becomes routine. And inside the command rooms of Ukraine's energy ministry, the ticking clock of winter looms. Each hour of blackout increases the strain on civilian morale and state capacity. Performance: how did each side act? Who delivered what? On the Russian side, the technique: targeted strikes on critical electrical assets, aim to degrade Ukraine's energy grid, impose blackouts, challenge restoration capacity. On the Ukrainian side, rapid assessments, emergency crews dispatched, some restoration achieved, but the scale of the damage meant many homes remained powerless for extended periods. Officials described it as a deliberate campaign aimed at disrupting civilian life, not just military assets. The performance of the Ukrainian grid operator and energy officials was tested. Can they isolate damage, route power, maintain essential services? In many cases, yes, but the pace of destruction outran the pace of repair. Safety features: what protections exist when power fails in wartime? In Ukraine's grid and civil infrastructure, there are redundancies, backup lines, emergency generators for hospitals and public services, surge protection gear, automatic routing of power when a substation is knocked out. Yet the performance of these features is limited under war conditions. Repeated strikes, drone swarms, unpredictable damage to primary and backup lines. For civilians, safety features mean that fire alarms, elevators, heating systems may still run, but only so long as fuel and backup power hold out. When a region loses both grid power and backup, the safety net vanishes: medical equipment, communications, heating, cooking, everything vulnerable. Protecting civilians under such strain is a monumental task, and the constant damage to infrastructure erodes the margin of safety. Unique selling points, though a grim term for war in the context of this video. What makes this story important? What draws viewership? What sets it apart from other conflict coverage? First, the scale, nearly 60 zeros. Zero people cut off from power is a large number, impacting everyday life. Second, the timing, winter is approaching, and when power drops, cold, darkness, and impaired services magnify suffering. Third, the infrastructure angle rather than only frontline firefights. This is an attack inside the grid, targeting civilian systems, raising questions about warfare norms and the threshold of what counts as civilian infrastructure. Fourth, the ripple effect, power loss doesn't stay in one neighborhood. It spreads through hospitals, transport, communications, economy. Lastly, the compelling visuals, darkened cities, emergency crews, flickering lights, families gathering around candles make for very shareable, emotional content that resonates globally. Price, figuratively speaking, what's the cost of this attack? On one level, the monetary cost, damaged substations, grid components, repair efforts, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars perhaps. On another level, human cost, disrupted lives, increased cold, weather risk, hospital vulnerabilities, economic slowdown, psychological toll. For Ukraine's economy already under strain, each large blackout means businesses suspend operations. The cost of restoration rises, public trust erodes. From Russia's side, there's also a price. Using drones, missiles, logistics to hit infrastructure incurs cost and risk of retaliation. The broader cost includes the international response, sanctions, humanitarian aid, diplomatic fallout. For viewers of our channel, the price is the story we carry forward, that wars are not only fought with tanks and guns but switches and wires, that power grids become battlegrounds. Conclusion. To wrap up, the attack on Ukraine's power supply in the Zaporizhzhia region, rendering nearly 60,000 people without electricity, is more than another headline. It is a reminder of how modern war penetrates civilian life, how destruction of infrastructure becomes a weapon. It shows the resilience required by Ukrainians who face freezing nights with flickering hope. It underlines how the war is fought not just in fields and forests, but inside apartment blocks and energy networks. For us watching from afar on Iron Conflict and Frontline, this story deepens our understanding of the stakes. Subscribe to stay informed, like the video if you found value, and keep watching as we bring you more frontline analysis of this war and others. Until next time, stay alert, stay informed, and never forget that in modern conflict, the power that lights your home and the power that wins a war may be closer than you think.